Kerry Vitten, thank you for coming back onto the program. How's your Mines and Money been?
It has been very good actually, very good discussions, quite busy and a lot of interest on Endomines and gold in general. One of the big surprises for me was actually the big interest on tungsten, because we have a tungsten at one of our gold deposits, so it's in a side rock, and there was a lot of interest on that actually due to this trade war between China and US.
Okay, a bit of fallout, yeah, from China and the US. How material could that be in terms of your overall business plan? Obviously, it sounds pretty new in terms of the way investors are looking at it, but you've known about this tungsten for a while, haven't you?
We have actually. We have done some preliminary geological models, and what we have noticed is that when there is the gold deposit in the Southern Gold Line, where we do a lot of exploration, there is the gold, and then in the side rock there is tungsten. And we have been focusing 100% on gold, of course, and this has been like just a side rock and maybe a side product.
Yeah.
But we have always thought that we will actually apply for the critical mineral status from the European Union, because it's a critical mineral and it's widely used. And I think with this current situation that there is a trade war between China and US, and China controlling 80% of the tungsten supply chain, we will put more focus, because we know that there is also areas where there is higher grade tungsten, but we haven't focused on those, because we are 100% focusing on just the gold, as you know.
Yeah, because obviously the main focus for you at the moment, obviously increase production, but then also explore, drill, and find enough to really get you into that 70, 100,000 ounces per annum mark by the end of the decade, right? Which is what we've always been discussing when you're on the channel. Why don't we, there's been quite a lot of news releases since you were on, I think you were on the last channel about 3 months ago, wasn't you? And there's been a lot of news. So we'll start on some more of the negative side, I guess. Obviously the guidance that you were anticipating was around 15 to 35%. In terms of growth in annual production from 2023 to 2024. I think you're now guiding still an increase, but 8 to 15. What does that look like in terms of the overall production profile of this year?
Yeah, that's true. That's unfortunate that we had to update the guidance, but it was due to the fact that with the increase in the gold price, we updated the model in the open pit. And therefore we needed some more equipment to do the preparation work. And there were delays in the equipment, and we lost maybe 600 ounces. So at the end we decided that we will update the guidance. And at the same time we were mining in an area like we have underground mine. We have 3 lenses, and the northern lens is always an area where there is difficult rock conditions, so that happened at the same time. So then we thought it's better to update. But it's still have to say that we are still increasing volumes this year, increasing volumes next year, and every year after that. So okay. Nothing has changed in the overall picture.
Okay, good. So fundamentally it was more just mechanical and sort of lead time issues, nothing really to do with the deposit, the mineralization, or any processing issues as such. There's nothing's fundamentally changed from your outlook into the next couple of years, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. In terms of, I do want to just touch on this. I know we'll have to go back to Finland, but let's touch on the US for a minute. I saw that you got a US small mines permit or small mines grant exemption, which essentially means that you could start exploring, but potentially even mining on some of the land over in the US right away. In the statement you said obviously your focus is still on Finland, but that surely makes life a bit easier if you were to look for a JV partner or sell these assets. I'm assuming that sort of ties into that strategy, does it?
It has, yes, and that was very, very well done by the team in the US. So we got this permit, and related to the permit, we also discussed with the authorities about all the securities. Like we updated the environmental bond what we have in that US grant, and that was done, and then we got the permit. So we see that there is a lot more interest now also, and I think also the presidential election in the US that has increase the interest. Like there is a lot of belief in mining in Idaho and Montana.
Does that not encourage you to maybe change your mind a bit now that Trump's come in and maybe stick your toe back into the US, put some investment in there and become a multinational gold operator?
It is tempting.
Yeah.
It is tempting, you know, like when the gold price is 26.50, and it is tempting. Like I'm going to Idaho next week and Montana, and but we are not changing the strategy. Like we still want to focus on Finland because we just see that we have a clear path how we increase the size of the company to 70,000, 100,000 ounces production, and then beyond. Like that's not the final level, and we have a clear path, and we are investing heavily in Finland. So we need to have the team focused in Finland only. If we get distracted, I think it will be harmful for the company. And hopefully we get also financial resources that will speed up the growth in Finland.
Okay, all right, let's move back to Finland then, as obviously that's the main focus, clearly. Look, so you're on around a 75 million euro market cap today, right? And I thought that's fundamentally driven, I think, mainly based on your production profile, and obviously you have had a bit of an increase, and when we spoke about that in the summer, you were the best performing stock this summer in Europe, and you were attributing some of that to this vision of becoming a much larger producer in the next 5 years. Has there been any updates or any changes in the last 3 months on the exploration side of things? Are you looking at different deposits in different ways? Are you changing your exploration strategy or your model in any way differently to when we last spoke? And when can we start seeing some results from the drilling?
Well, there is a small change actually, because I think every month and every year you learn more. And when we started the exploration last year, we were looking at different options, and even this year we drilled I think 4 different locations. Like there was near mine, some Hosko, and Northern Gold Line, Southern Gold Line, and next year it will be very much like the Southern Gold Line. We have very promising results, and then the Northern Gold Line, because now what we published last Friday, it's a very promising area. This up in the north, like there is the history was that there is an area where when we have used consultants from Australia, for example, they always say that you should go here.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's maybe 10 kilometers long and 3-4 kilometers wide area. There is only one house or one cabin. Nobody lives there. It's just forest. It's perfect. And we did a base of till campaign, and we got some traces of gold. And there was a clear area where there is potential. So after that, we drilled a few holes last summer, and we got nice results, like 13 meters close to 3 grams per ton, 8 meters, 2 grams per ton, and so on. So, but there was over 500 meters between the holes. So now we drilled between, and we got magnificent results, like over 20 meters, 2 grams per ton gold. And there is also still some results missing. Like we published just the first 5 holes, and we still have 6 pending. So next year it will be the north, this area where we just published the results, and then the Southern Gold Line where we are it's more resource drilling, so increase the resource size. Okay,
so first half of 2025, there's going to be a lot more news on the northern area as well as expanding the southern resource. Why don't we just remind people what the current resource is down in the south that's not being mined currently, and sort of what the exploration target might be there?
Yeah, we had in 23 we increased the resource by 72%, so we got to 310,000 ounces, and approximately half is in the south, in the southern line, and that we doubled last year. And since then we have drilled 22,000 meters. So we update the resources once a year. So next year in March we will update the resource based on the 24 drilling. So we expect a healthy increase, and we are continuing to see more and more potential on each location. So exciting times.
Okay, good. Have you done any analysis on what your discovery cost is, so sort of the amount you're investing into drilling and what the return is in terms of the amount of ounces that you're finding, anything along those lines?
Yeah, it's somewhere between 10 to 15 euros per ounce.
Okay.
So I think it's very, on a global scale, it's very reasonable.
Yeah, okay. In terms of the rate that you're finding ounces at the moment, are you on track to find a 1 million ounce deposit by the end of the decade? Is that?
For sure, yes. End of the decade, like we initially our goal was to define the deposit by end of 25. Now I think it depends. Like we have two options. That one is that because in the south we will continue the resource drilling. And then in the north we have two options. Like one is that we now make a resource, because there hasn't been any resource, we have just drilled, but we could do it next year. Or the other option is that we do drilling on a wider, larger area, and then in 26 we make a resource and go to the 1 million ounces in total. Like that's the option number two.
So,
and it both have advantages. I think the second option that we updated only in 22, that would give us a wider view, like what's on the area, and that helps with permitting, because we have noticed it now in the south we are doing permitting already, and then you have to design areas for where there is side rock and all the infrastructure. And then it helps that you have a really wider knowledge of the area. Okay.
I guess if you're a new investor looking at this story, you're looking at this and you're seeing, okay, 15, potentially around 14, 15,000 ounces of gold production this year, and what's the sort of the margin on, what's the current AISC at the moment on the ounces you're producing?
1,300 euros excluding investments.
Excluding all the drilling costs and things like that. Okay, right. Okay, so good margins on the existing gold business, and that is the plan still to go up to 25,000 ounces over the next couple of years? Is that?
That is the plan. Yeah. So we have the existing deposits, like we have one underground mine and two open pit mines that we are operating and that we have permitted, and we are increasing the production each year, and we have a plant which can handle approximately 25,000-30,000 ounces. So each year we are increasing the mine production and updating the gold production also.
Okay, all right. So on one hand, you're fighting to get the production ounces up through the current and existing plant, get that up to around 30,000, which is your maximum capacity. And then on the other hand, you're really striving for a much bluer sky potential, which is that 1 million ounce type deposit, which will then facilitate the build of a new mill, right? And then get you to around 100,000 ounces. So in terms of the pathway there, obviously you're sort of demonstrating at the moment that you're finding new ounces, you're beta till drilling and following up on anomalies and targets and finding good ounces. But what's the timeline looking like in terms of getting these new areas permitted and also getting the new mill permitted, actually getting these new ounces put into production, putting a wireframe around it all, getting the economics around it all, getting it into production? Well, how do investors look at this in terms of, okay, am I investing in a 5-year story? Am I investing in a 3-year story? What's my entry point now versus what it could be down the line?
Yeah, we have in Finland we have permitted 3 mines, so we know how it goes, and it takes 4 to 5 years. It's fairly slow, but it's predictable. And we started the permitting in the Southern Gold Line. We started the permitting in January this year. So we have completed all the nature studies, and the environmental impact assessment will be completed during Q1 25. And then we continue to the program phase and permitting phase. So we expect to get the environmental permit in 28. So the plan is that we still have 25, 26, 27 when we will increase the resource. And when we have the permit, then we will start building the expansion. And we are in the environmental assessment program, we are investigating two options: that we expand the current mill and transport the ore to the mill, and the other option is that we build a new one down south, and then we have two operation points. But yeah, it's going quite well. Like, we have completed the nature studies. There is no major issues. We can design the facilities in a way that it's good for the environment and good for the production at the same time. And we have a very strong local support, very strong support from the town. So that's very important. And we have been there over 10 years, so we know how it goes. So we estimate that in 2030 the production will be in 70,000 to 100,000 ounces. However, that being said, we truly believe that the shareholder value will become a lot earlier when people really see that the gold is there, this is the timeline, this is how they will get there. We haven't marketed that so much yet, and there is still some design that we have to do, and the feasibility study that we need to do. But the good thing is that as we have 3 mines in the area, we know exactly how much it costs. Like, we know it's feasible. Yeah. Like, we know, because we know how much it costs to mine it in the area. We know how much it costs to process it there, and we have a lot of the infrastructure is built.
Yeah, and arguably a lot of the resources or ounces that you are finding now are a lot closer to surface, and arguably would be a bit cheaper once in production to mine, right? So if you're mining the deep stuff already at a cost-effective rate, there's no reason to suggest why you wouldn't be able to do it on the other side. So obviously, look, we're just coming up to Christmas now, but I guess moving into the new year, what are we looking out for? What's the things that we need to really keep an eye out for in Q1, Q2?
Well, we still have a lot of exploration results that we haven't published, so we have done a lot of work in the southern line, and that we will publish as soon as the results are complete. Then we have a lot of also the rest of the results in the north, like just to follow up these good intersections that we now published last Friday. And then after that we will update the resources in the area. And so it's a lot of I think releases in the next few weeks before we give the annual statements in mid-February. And then yes, we will next year focus in the northern gold line, southern gold line, a lot of drilling, still continue to update the production to the higher level, and then we continue to work on the US assets, and hopefully we have something to publish also regarding those in the coming months. So.
Good. All right, busy man. All right. Well, look, I hope you enjoy Christmas in between all of that. And Kerry, thank you for coming back on.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.